So this presentation is really about the economic impact of the activities of ICBF in Sheep Island. So it's that important part of Dorian's cycle of genetic improvement. It's about demonstrating the value of past improvement, what the key sub-indexes are that have contributed to that past improvement, and then what sort of money is on the table for continued improvement based on the genetic trends in dairy, beef and sheep. So I won't bore you with this too much, but ICBF kicked off 20 years ago. It's the reason we're all here. The initial focus was on dairy, motivated by strong awareness that the Irish system was different from the rest of the world and unique genetics were needed to deliver. The short story is that gaining traction in beef has been a little bit more difficult, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that through the story from the value of genetic trends. And then of course Sheep Island, having its 10th birthday today, kicked off in 2008, and there's been good progress made in that scheme. So for the EBI, we can look at the gain made between 2003 and 2017, and we're talking about the best part of €225 of genetic merit increase there, and Pat pointed this stuff out this morning. That's made up of 225 kilos of milk, gains in fat and protein in the teens, a good shortening of calving interval and an increase in survival, and some reductions in carcass weight associated with a slight decline in the beef component of the EBI. So now to the numbers. So if we look between 2003 and 2017 at the value of genetic improvement yielded from the EBI, the numbers are pretty big. So we're talking about the best part of €1.5 billion. And that's driven largely by fertility, so this maybe contradicts Dorian's comment just before that a lot of value has come from genetic trends in fertility, and most of it probably more recently with a sharp turnaround in genetic trends for fertility. Small contributions from other traits in calving and health, and the value of this benefit, just to put it in the context of cow level, is about €83 per cow per year. If we take the genetic trends in more recent years and project them forward, we can capture the value of ongoing investment in genetic improvement in the EBI. But first we have to account for the fact that we can actually lock in the historic benefits that have been made up to date. And we lock them in for the next 20 years, and they equate to about €4 billion worth of gain to the industry. We then take existing genetic trends and map them for a further 10 years and then accumulate the benefits over another 10 years. The value of gains in the EBI and milk and fertility and other traits yield another €2.9 billion. And I should say that that is captured in a slightly bigger herd than what's present now. So future benefits accumulate to the best part of €7 billion. So that's a really good story for dairy, yielded huge benefits to the Irish industry in the past, and the opportunity is really big for the future. If we look at beef now, so I've done the sums on the value of beef production both through animals slaughtered in Ireland and those exported, the value of changes in cull cow carcass weight, and then the value of genetic trends and maternal traits in the suckler herd. So I won't dwell too much on this, other than to say that the genetic trends for carcass weight, conformation and fat are all going in the right direction. It's important to note that in line with very active and successful selection for terminal traits, carcass weight increased by it's about 8 or 9 kilos there over the period of 2003 to 2017. We can put a value on those traits, so looking historically again in the beef system for terminal genetic gain between 2003 and 2017, the value of that genetic gain captured in animals slaughtered in Ireland is about €460 million. The live exports, there was a big period there in the noughties where a lot of high quality cows were going overseas. and they delivered benefits of about 100 million euros. So all up about 570 million euros from historic genetic gain in the terminal beef indexes, and that's about 33 euro per suckler cow per year. Onto the replacement index. So this graph shows the replacement index trend by year, and you can see from this, at the index level at least, the story is that it's a steady sort of a state. However, when we look inside the components of that replacement index, we can see that in the orange area under the curve there, that maternal traits have actually deteriorated. And that has been in part compensated for by both the beef production side of the replacement index and also some increases in cull cow weight associated with faster growing animals. And the cost of that's actually cost the industry about 25 euros per cow per year. That's the cost of the maternal decline. So we can bring all that together and pick up a story for beef. So on the terminal side, big gains made in beef production sorted in Ireland and the quality of calves going overseas at weaning age. There's some gains in cull cows because cull cows have got bigger, but we have given away a lot of that 570 million euro in declining maternal performance to the tune of about 420 million euro, and so we've ended up at about 180 million euro. So it's a bittersweet sort of a story, and there's an opportunity to turn around that declining maternal performance, and the way to do that is through a new future created by the Beef Data and Genomics Program. So we've calculated the value of the BDGP in terms of turning that maternal genetic trend decline around. So this graph shows up to the point where the line is. It shows the previous graph where we had that declining maternal trend, and what we've done is we've said, okay, if the industry carried on as it was before the BDGP, where would it end up? And that's what this bottom line here represents. That represents what the scenario would be if nothing was done to turn that trend around. We've worked out what the genetic trend in 2017 and 18 is doing in terms of the BDGP, and it's very positive early in the scheme, and we've tracked that trend into the future for 10 years and then modelled the benefits over an additional 10 years. And the story is that if we can turn around that maternal genetic trend decline, which looks like the BDGP will achieve, then that yields 49 euros per cow per year, and just that maternal bit alone is worth 540 million euros. So there's plenty on the table for a successful BDGP, and this is what it looks like yielding. There's also an opportunity to look at the benefits of reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. So these orange bars here represent the current rate of genetic gain in the maternal sub-index and the maternal component of the replacement index. So that's at 4 euros per year, and a 4 euro per cow per year genetic gain reduces greenhouse gas emissions at the herd level by 4%. And so greenhouse gas emissions reductions are directly proportional to rates of genetic gain in the maternal part of the replacement index. So if we can get the replacement index trend up to 10 euros per year, then we're looking at achieving a 10% annual reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from the suckler herd. So that's a bit of a challenge, I guess, for a doubling and a double and a half rate of the genetic gain in the replacement index to capture some greenhouse gas benefits. Last but by no means least, sheep production. So I gave a presentation this morning about the activities of Sheep Island, where we've measured the benefits of gains in the terminal index and the replacement index, which has got 3 sub-indexes of growth, lambing and maternal. So first to the genetic trends in terminal, you can see before Sheep Island came about, the terminal trend was fairly stagnant, and since Sheep Island's implementation, the genetic trend has increased, and That's yielded between 2003 and 2017, so over the same period as the dairy and beef modelling, about €350,000. The replacement index now, so much the same as the beef story. The replacement index was in decline up until 2013, but Sheep Islands managed to turn that around. If we accumulate the benefits between 2003 and 2017, then we're talking about €750,000 to the sheep industry. Breaking down the replacement index trend into its component traits of growth, lambing and maternal, you can kind of see the story very easily here. That growth has been going in a positive direction, seen improvements in genetic merit for lambing, and that decline in the maternal component of the replacement index in sheep here has been halted in the yellow circle there, and you can see it's even going in the right direction. So modelling the future benefits for sheep on the back of those more recent trends in the terminal and replacement index, the numbers are much greater in the future because we've got trends going in a very positive direction. And you can see that the replacement index is the driver of the show here, yielding about €16 million over the next 10 years, with the benefits captured over 20, and a smaller proportion there to the terminal index of €2 million. So just wrapping up now, what's the overall story? It's clear that the economic benefits of historic gains in genetic improvement in the EBI have been massive, and driven in more recent years by fertility, and obviously also milk production traits that Dorian referred to. Rule referred to the need to bring in health traits, environmental impact and animal welfare, so I think it's fair to say that the future will revolve more around those health and welfare traits of animals. In beef and sheep, in both cases, the negative trend in maternal performance has been halted, and so that's a big achievement, particularly when you look at other beef industries that haven't done this to the same extent. And there's obviously a need to maintain momentum. The BDTP offers a huge opportunity, and there's money on the table there to reverse that trend, and the early signs are very positive. And in the future, I've got a comma there with nothing after, because there's clearly plenty to do, and it'll revolve around engagement, getting better data, and continuing that improvement in maternal trait performance. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Brian. Thank you.